So with funding from Morton Kelly Foundation and the Maine Arts Commission, MCOA started putting a plan into action, working with Maine Arts Commission. So we've really been meeting regularly throughout the past year. We've developed a website and have really started to work to design a very well-rooted, substantial, yet accessible program. We've convened a wonderful advisory council. Many of the members are in the virtual room with us today. So great to see you, and we're very grateful to you. We appreciate all of that guidance. And as the program has solidified, we've also been convening with lots of other stakeholders, such as Side by Side. I know I saw you in the room today as well. And we've kept a real eye towards making sure that the program is sustainable and that it's the best that it can be. So we're really wanting to make sure that we use existing resources and don't reinvent the wheel anywhere. We're going to be using the Creative Grounds database, hopefully, to provide a place where people can find creative aging teaching artists. And what we have done is worked to develop a two-part training. So again, knowing that we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we are going to be working with Lifetime Arts. Our main teaching artists have already gone through that program, and I was able to take that training, the Foundational Creative Aging Teaching Artist Training last year. It's a wonderful program. So our main teaching artists for creative aging are going to be able to go through that program. And then MCOA is developing a second training that these teaching artists will go through that will really focus on ageism and those aspects of age positivity that we want to bring to the forefront. And this image I just wanted to share when we first were really starting to talk about what this could look like. This is something that a visual artist put together at one of the roundtables that we had in person at our aging summit, just talking about what are some of the things, what are the possibilities that could happen with this program. And we're just so excited about it. I want to talk a little bit more about that program model and the curriculum. Again, we want to really take these teaching artist training on aging and age positivity to the next level. One of the things that we know about those 7.5 extra years of life that we can have when we have a positive outlook on aging is that the topics of purpose and belonging and having some meaning in our lives are incredibly important. So beyond those benefits of being creative, we want to help older adults in Maine really explore what it means to age and how they fit into their community, and also maybe start to think about how their community can help them to be happier and healthier within those communities. And another unique aspect of the program is that this second portion of the training that MCOA is designing is also going to be available to host sites. So one of the things we're going to be doing is working to connect those teaching artists with the host sites, help them find each other, communities that want to offer this type of programming, and then being able to connect them with the Creative Aging Maine teaching artists that want to provide the programming. So we're really excited about that and seeing the ripples move through the communities throughout Maine. The programming is going to really focus on sequential classes, not just a one-off event, although there may be some of those as well, and really working to help older Mainers to build creative skills. Maybe they're going to be revisiting a creative endeavor that they used to take part in and don't anymore. Maybe it's going to be something entirely new, but really giving them the opportunity to sort of build a little community within their program and learn about aging, ageism, and age positivity as they build those skills. So We are really excited. This year is the year that everything is really going to be kind of getting put into motion. So we're hoping that we see that funding come through that Christina mentioned. And with that, what we're going to be doing is initially offering that second piece of the training to the creative aging or teaching artists that we already have in Maine, and starting to get those fully trained creative aging Maine teaching artists out into the community so that we can start offering this programming. From there, we're going to be able to offer rounds of training for new creative aging teaching artists that will be able to go through that full training and again start delivering programming. So we're just thrilled about this partnership and about the changes that this can bring to our communities and the difference that it can make in the lives of older adults. I will drop my contact info in the chat, as well as information on the Leadership Exchange on Ageism for anyone who wants more information. And again, just thank you for this opportunity, and I'm excited to hear about what everybody else is doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Meriah. Next, we have Julie Kline, who serves as the Director of Program Strategies at Lifetime Arts, a nationally recognized nonprofit advancing creative aging, an advanced-based approach that combines hands-on arts learning with social engagement to support healthy aging. And I'm going to turn it right over to Julie.
Okay, can you all see my screen?
You yes,
can. Okay, how amazing. Okay, let me make sure that I can see it as well. That's going to be the bit of a challenge here. Give me 1 second as I arrange my own things. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Maine Arts Commission, for having me. Thank you, Christina and Meriah. That was so exciting to see this program in all of its detail, and I just couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you also for this intro. As mentioned, my name is Julie Kline. I'm the Director of Program Strategy at Lifetime Arts, and I'll tell you a bit more about Lifetime Arts in a second, but I just wanted to mention that I come to creative aging work through my own practice as a theater artist, with a focus on creating original theater works in collaboration with older adults based on their own life stories that they write and perform. So one of my productions with older adults from Stanley Isaacs Senior Center in New York City is pictured here on the slide, our final performance there. And this work all just really set me on a path towards becoming a lifelong practitioner and advocate for creative aging. So the perfect place for me to work is Lifetime Arts. So we are a national nonprofit that really aims to change the way our society thinks about aging through the arts. Since our founding in 2008 by two arts administrators who were also caregivers for the older adults in their lives, Lifetime Arts has really been helping lead a movement in support of creative aging across the country. So we work with a variety of partners. Basically, anybody that wants to serve older adults, we want to support them. So this is teaching artists, this is libraries, senior centers, museums, health organizations, more and more, to build programs that combat isolation and challenge stereotypes about aging and celebrate really the creative potential that lasts all of our lifetimes, right? It's so much connected to what Meriah was just talking about. And also because we really believe that creativity is not just a nice to have, it's actually essential to our well-being. We're making sure that these practices are part of public health, they're part of cultural policy, and they're woven into aging services nationwide. And I'll talk a little bit more about that aspect of our work at the end of the presentation. But in short, we really feel like we're bridging vision and action to make creative aging a part of everyday life in every community. And I wondered if you all could help me out. And as you're just thinking about creativity, and many of you are already creatives, just like in the chat, think about if you had more time in your life, if money magically was no object, what's an art form that you would like to explore starting next week? And maybe it's something that you did, do as a younger person, and you want to come back to. Maybe it's something totally new. I see painting, great. I see dancing. I'm having a little Is using my
There's
chat at the moment.
sculpture.
Thank
and
you for reading
fine
those
fiber
aloud.
arts and
Love it.
stone
Stone
carving,
carving. I love it. Oh, I saw ham radio.
metalwork and painting.
We got ceramics. I'll tell you mine own personally is tango. Always wanted to learn tango. Great. These are lovely. Oil painting. So all of this obviously speaks to the more that we want to learn and the art forms that we want to investigate in our lives. And what we want to do at Lifetime Arts is make sure there are places and spaces for us to be able to do this lifelong. Weaving, I like that. Thanks for sharing on that. So when we say creative aging, what do we mean? And Meriah spoke to this as well. So we define creative aging as combining artistic expression and social engagement to really enhance well-being, to boost our cognitive, physical abilities, and to just really enrich our lives as we age. Creative aging programs are artist-led opportunities to explore different art forms, new art forms, like you all were putting in the chat, maybe come back to an older art form from another part of your life, to connect meaningfully with others, to build skills over time, and especially to interrupt ageist views that society holds, but also we deeply hold about ourselves as we age, right? By showing that creativity and growth is possible at any age. This can be art classes, theater workshops, story sessions, music making, intergenerational art projects. They may be dementia inclusive programs for folks that are living with memory loss. They might be an arts education program happening in a library or a museum. But the gist is that creative aging is more than just a fulfilling pastime. It's really a crucial element of a healthy and vibrant life. Meriah spoke to this too. Love it. I see clowning. Love clowning. Great. I did an older adult clowning program at one point. It was incredible. So Meriah spoke to this too. There is just a growing body of research, right, that shows that, creative aging is vital to older adults' health and well-being, and it is really measurable, the mental, physical, and social benefits. Dr. Gene Cohen, I just want to shout him out, really did a seminal study in partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts and revealed that participation in creative arts programs reduced depression, reduced anxiety, reduced doctor visits, lowered folks' needs for medication. Over the course of professionally conducted creative aging programs. Further studies prove that, these kinds of programs can really protect our brain health as we age. And so in general, we kind of more and more are seeing creative aging really as an intervention, right? As a health intervention. And that it also reduces those risk factors that drive the need for long-term care. Maybe it, in fact, helps folks stay more independent longer. So this is why we don't call creative aging programs, they're not technically arts therapy by any means, but they do have these therapeutic health benefits. And Meriah spoke to this too. What Dr. Cohen really identified is a creative aging program needs to really have these two main elements to have these health benefits. And that is one, enabling the older adult to have a sense of mastery or choice, decision-making. And number two, to form community through the art making experience. So in the arts education approach, we really define this as skill building, right? Learning something new, learning an art form in depth, making artistic choices about your work, getting better at that art form over time. And then, of course, that community building is that social engagement, which is not just coffee before and after and snacks. That's all good. But what I'm talking about is actually when social engagement's woven into the fabric of the class, and the teaching artist is intentionally creating opportunities for folks to make friendships. So at Lifetime Arts, we spend a lot of time with teaching artists, helping them figure out how to integrate that social engagement in their particular art form. Theater, social dance, it's pretty easy, right? Folks are going to talk to each other. They're going to be able to form friendships. Visual arts class, if everybody's painting on their own, not as easy. So the teaching artist actually needs to be really active. How can folks turn and talk? How can we look at art together and have a discussion? Maybe we can even do a pair or a group project together. We can give feedback to each other in a supportive environment. So these are some of the ways that we help teaching artists integrate this really important aspect so that their class really has those benefits. And we also train organizations and program hosts on ways that they can support these connections inside and outside of class. If I'm getting close on time, please somebody signal me. I just have a little bit more to go over, which is just to reiterate that creative aging classes happen anywhere, everywhere, right? senior living communities, senior centers. They can happen at arts organizations. They can take place in libraries. They can take place in veterans' homes. Museums are great sites for creative aging programs, parks and rec, and many others. And so Lifetime Arts is really proud to serve all of these sectors to launch and grow creative aging programs. We do training, coaching, re-granting, networking opportunities. And very often we pull together different sectors, just as Creative Aging Maine did this themselves, pulled together the Arts Commission and the Council on Aging, and together are stronger, right, and are able to make really flexible and responsive programs by working in partnership. It's really important at the same time as all of this that creative aging programs are really adaptable to their own site, to their own constituents, to their own communities. They always should take place, of course, in accessible spaces. They need to use universal design principles so they're fully accessible to older adults, not just across their range of abilities, but also that they can really respond to the way in which older adults learn best. You might want to just think to yourself, when you're thinking about if you're learning something new right now as an adult, how is learning different for you than maybe in your youth or maybe in higher education, right? The biggest thing we find is older adults want choice. They want to choose what they want to learn. They want to choose the way in which they want to learn it. They want to bring their past experience to bear on their work, and they want to be in partnership with teaching artists. It's not that typical hierarchy of like teacher and student. So a lot of what we train is on that, and how can programs, staff running programs and also teaching artists be really responsive. And programs should also honor older adults' experiences, their cultural background, and find ways to really center them and allow them to lead. So real quick, as I mentioned before, we do all this capacity building, we do training, but we also work at the state and regional level to build those partnerships I mentioned. A state library and an arts council, maybe a division for veteran services. And those folks come together to really launch and seed programs throughout states. These are all the states that Lifetime Arts has or is currently working with on this slide. It's really going to take everybody to make this systems change, where creative aging is really understood as an essential part of healthy aging. So with that in mind, we're about to release a new policy brief and action plan framework with research and recommendations and action steps, basically to incorporate creative aging, especially into multi-sector plans for aging. And we're really hoping that this is going to be allow for individuals, just like yourselves, representatives of organizations, to really forward the creative aging movement. So if you're interested in our training, we offer a course open to teaching artists, program managers that runs generally on the monthly basis starting in March. Our trainings are really fun. We do a lot of interactive art activities, and we do a lot of networking where folks really get to share with each other. And then I think Christina has some links in the chat for our training. And also, if you wanted to be up to date with that policy brief, you could join our newsletter. I've talked fast and quickly. I look forward to your questions later. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julie, so much. I just want to remind everyone to put their names and where they're calling from into the chat. If you'd like to have more information about how to learn about creative aging in Maine, you can add your email, and we will add you to a list so that you'll receive those emails in the future. Next up, I'd like to introduce Carolyn Halpin-Healy, the founder of Arts and Minds. She founded Arts and Minds with Columbia University neurologist James M. Noble, MD, to provide museum-based experiences for people with dementia and their care partners at the Studio Museum in Harlem. We also have Hollie Ecker here, who is the senior educator at Arts and Minds, and she has worked extensively as a teaching artist and museum educator for visitors of all ages and abilities of major museums in New York City, including the Met, where I was able to spend some time with Hollie and Caroline to experience what it's like to engage with one of their programs. And it was lovely. And it was actually the first time I had ever watercolored, and it was incredibly fun. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you so much, Christina. Thanks for having us here. And I just want to start by saying yes to everything I've heard so far. What we're doing at Arts and Minds is completely in line with the creative aging movement and the really impressive work that you're developing in Maine. So we're here to tell you about Arts and Minds programs, and then Hollie will take over for me and talk about the training that we offer in our approach, which is available to everyone. And like everyone here, I believe that well thought out museum programs, arts programs in general, designed with and for adults with dementia can provide life-enhancing activities that create positive emotional and cognitive experiences, enhance communication, reduce isolation, and build community. And if I haven't mentioned it already, our special focus is among people with dementia and their care partners. So collective activities such as slow-looking dialogues, creative art making, and they all have the potential to support individuals and communities in creative and joyful ways. Can I have the next slide, Hollie, please? Okay, Arts and Minds was founded in 2010 by museum educators, myself, and that's my colleague Chantal Lawson, who's now the head of learning and engagement at the Studio Museum in Harlem, which just opened in November after a very long redevelopment. I started it with Shanta and with Doctors William and Noble, neurologists at Columbia University and Harlem Hospital. Next time. Our programs take place, though they're offered in English and in Spanish, they take place in community centers, parks, and online. This is just an image to show you some of the museums we're currently partnering with in New York, and an image of a community center program. Next, Hollie, please. The growing scientific research base, together with the knowledge that we have as being people in the field, empirical evidence that's gained in practice, narrative evidence gathered in participant stories, and visual evidence from the photographs that are made by participants. All show the benefits of aesthetic experience, as Julie just so brilliantly enumerated. Art is powerful. Program participants gain cognitive, physical, and social stimulation, and we see improved mood for caregivers and those living with dementia. We also see reduced caregiver burden, specifically isolation and stress. Our programs are typically structured in this way. We have a dialogue of response and interpretation that takes place in front of a work of art in a museum setting or before a large screen if we're in a community center. And this is followed by a hands-on art-making activity that's linked. Two things are linked by what we call a motivating question that's meant to spark creativity and allow participants to express themselves in their own ways. And this way we avoid that artsy craftsy infantilizing approach that is sometimes out there. And we build in choice and creativity for each individual participant in the program, wherever they may be on the cognitive spectrum. And here are some examples. This is an image at the Studio Museum in Harlem with a work by Vanessa German, a sculptor, and the work is called Self-Portrait of the Artist with Physicalized Self. And it's a really intellectually complex and physically complex piece that plays on historical racist tropes, plays on histories of the slave trade. This, you can't quite see it in the image, but it's a little bit like a Congolese power figure. So she's riffing on the art of the past to create a modern power figure that she proposes to us, her viewers. And in this program, we'll see what happens next. Pilar, our teaching artist, asked, "Where do you find your power?" And this is one of the participant responses, a pencil drawing with this flaming ring at the center. And when the participant was asked, "Where do you find your power?" his response was Joan's wedding ring. Joan is his wife. Next slide, Hollie. In another case, here's Hollie in the gallery at the Studio Museum. We're looking at a series of drawings by artist Kianja Strobert. And the question, so this is all about mark making. The question that was posed was, how will you make your mark in a series of ink drawings? And here's one of the images. This is Joseph, who was very concerned with text all the time. He always had a magazine or a newspaper. He didn't paint much, but he liked to write. And so we offered him ink and a reed pen, and this was his response. This is how he makes his mark. As you all probably know, the need is very large. According to the Alzheimer's Association, over 7 million people are living with dementia. Nearly 12 million Americans provide care for a friend or family member. In Maine, 10% of the population over the age of 65 live with Alzheimer's disease. This is pretty much on track with the national average. I just put in Knox County and Kennebec County because I know that there are great museums in those counties. And these are your numbers in case you have to make the argument to your grant maker. There are quite a lot of people. But there are more people in Maine because the population skews older. So more people are affected. Hollie's going to tell you a little bit about our training program.
Thanks, Carolyn. Can everybody hear me and see me? Okay. So 13 years ago, when these numbers that Carolyn just mentioned were a lot lower, we set out with the goal to train more museums and cultural institutions to be able to welcome visitors with dementia and their care partners, our own effort to meet this growing need. And even after many years of experience training museum staff both nationally and internationally at institutions like the National Gallery of Art, the Smithsonian, the U.S. Botanic Garden, as well as smaller museums closer to us, not in Maine, but we did work with the Farnsworth before the pandemic, the Long Island Museum, McCullough Hall History Museum, and in the Museum Serving Elders Professional Development Program in Taiwan. We knew that our capacity and reach were limited. And as you can see from the statistics that Carolyn just shared, the need today in 2026 is even greater. So in 2021, we began offering synchronous online workshops live together, either online or in Zoom. Oh, these ones were online, excuse me, at the invitation of colleagues in Australia and Japan. And with funding from the Mellon Foundation, we then built the online course with House Studio, a leading digital learning specialist. The woman we worked with is named Deb House. And together we were able to dedicate time and resources to developing the course with the goal of making it asynchronous so it could reach anyone, anywhere, and not be limited by our capacity to lead it in person or real time. So what started as a 3-day in-person training is now more widely accessible as a self-paced online training that takes between 10 and 12 weeks, about 21 to 25 hours to complete. The course sets out on the theoretical underpinnings of our approach, the Arts and Minds approach, and teaches compassionate facilitation methods, as well as practical strategies for creating successful programs. So we worked together for nearly 3 years. We tested it on 3 different learning platforms, and we ran 2 pilots and a beta test with professionals representing a wide range of fields, emerging and expert museum educators, teaching artists, as well as national leaders in creative care for people living with dementia. And so what we came up with is a program that has 3 main modules, and our expertise is in art and art museums. So that's naturally the focus of our training course. And we share our particular approach to meaningful dialogue and expressive art making. And that said, the principles and practices are applicable to many kinds of collections, institutions, and organizations. I actually, for our upcoming cohort, we have somebody who just registered from the Cowgirl Museum in Dallas, as well as an aquarium in Connecticut, and of course, many artists and teaching artists and museums like you all, like the work you all do. So it's offered over the Canvas platform. Many of you might be familiar with that. And we have recorded talks that feature Columbia neurologist, our co-founder, Dr. James Noble. And he provides an introduction to Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. Carolyn, our executive director, who is here with me today, gives an overview of our Arts and Minds approach. And Dr. Noble and Shanta Lawson, who you saw earlier from the Studio Museum in Harlem, discuss the value of museum programs to communities. We also interviewed family and professional caregivers. We recorded live programs with actual participants, both people with dementia and care partners. And we recorded brief demonstrations of dementia-friendly art making setup, techniques, and process, even how to give feedback. You will have a chance as a participant, or our participants have had a chance to also post discussion on the discussion board about the readings and other contents, as well as optional 3 live optional meetings on Zoom, which both offer our learners opportunities to be part of an active learning community, because we found that that makes the learning more real and more concrete, and ways to explore aspects of the program and practice together. And here's a lovely shot of some of our learners, and just to give you a sense of who the course is being used by: museum educators, independent teaching artists, music educators, outdoor educators, municipal councils on aging. We've had nurses, social workers, and other dementia care professionals. So this is our little postcard here, letting you know that we run the open cohort 3 times a year. And our next session will launch at the end of January, on January 28th. So if you or anyone you know would like to sign up, please take a photo of this information. You'll find the registration information and more info about the course using this QR code. And feel free to reach out to us as well, because we also offer custom training to organizations and museums apart from this open cohort format. Turning it back to Carolyn. Thanks, everybody.
So as we all age, we may find ourselves in this landscape where we are interacting with social services, healthcare, and hopefully with arts and culture. So Arts and Minds sees ourselves at the intersections of these sectors alongside museums and also with other arts practitioners. So we hope you'll join us there, and we just want to help as much as we can and make this work available so that more people with dementia can live more vibrantly, and we can push back against the really dark cultural narrative of dementia and let people live a more hopeful side. So our contact information is in the next slide, and we're happy to follow up with anyone. And thanks so much again, Christina, for having us.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Holly. Thank you for all the work that you're doing with people with dementia. It's really important. Next, we're going to move to Jeri Pitcher, who is a teaching artist and theater director and educator. Her work is dedicated to devising original theater through a collaborative group process. Pitcher's an adjunct theater instructor at the University of Maine at Augusta, and she's worked as a guest collaborator at the Colby College, devising an original theater dance performance entitled Of This Place to open the new Gordon Center for the Performing Arts in 2024. Pitcher has also worked with the Maine Media College in Rockport as an executive assistant and grant writer. And in the summer of 2022, Pitcher worked with the Center Theater in Dover Foxcroft through the Maine Arts Commission's Creative Aging Program, creating a performance piece entitled Impact. Impact is a devised work created by the group, assembled through a series of 5 workshop sessions. It consists of scenes and monologues that respond to the question, what has meaning for you, and what would you like to say about what has meaning for you? Impact is designed to encourage conversation and was shared with a talk back after the reading. Please help me in welcoming Jeri Pitcher.
Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So it was just my great pleasure in the summer of 2022 to work with the Center Theater in Dover Foxcroft on a creative aging project. And for that project, we assembled 8 incredible open-minded participants for the project. And the goal was to create a short theater piece in our very short 5 80 to 90 minute sessions. And for this project, we met twice a week. And for the last session, I arrived with a written script entitled Impact, which was a compilation of all of the improvised scenes and monologues that had been created in our first sessions. During that last session, we prepared a stage reading of the piece, and then it was presented to an audience at the conclusion of the final session. The script was read to the audience, so there were no lines to learn, and the staging was very simple. And at the end of the reading, we opened things up for a talk back with the audience about the process of creating the play Impact. So the question that was posed to the participants in the improvisational sessions was, what has meaning for you, and what might you like to express about this subject? We started each session with an icebreaker game, which often involved learning and using each other's names. Then we did some physical and vocal exercises before starting the work of creating. Often there had been a writing assignment to complete before the next session as homework, and the sharing of that material often served as a jumping off point for our improvisations. The 8 participants ranged from some having 0 theater experience to some with limited community theater experience, and then I had one wonderful participant who actually had some formal theater training. It was really a wonderful, diverse group. And when they signed up for this, they had no idea where this project was headed. But they trusted me, they trusted the process, and found great meaning in the subject matter that came out in our improvisations. They were most surprised on the final day when this 14-page written script arrived. And it was filled with their memories, feelings, words, and personal experiences. So the play Impact revolved around the premise of that a controversial art exhibit had opened in their local art gallery. And this was totally fictitious. This was just a construct that we used for the play. Each of the characters in the play saw the abstract paintings in this exhibit through the characters as we placed the imaginary art straight out over the heads of the audience. So they were looking out into the audience, seeing these paintings. Each of the characters viewed the work with a different frame of reference. Some saw climate change and remembered protesting and how environmental issues had been a passion of theirs through their whole life. Others saw violence, like what is on the nightly news. And there was quite a discussion in the play about, is it okay to just turn the news off and pretend it's not happening and close our eyes? Another character, the paintings took him right back to his Vietnam experiences and the memories of coming home after Vietnam. All agreed that these fictitious paintings had an incredible emotional impact. But the discussion in the piece was, is this a positive impact, waking us up from sleep, or something negative that we want to close our eyes to? And can we afford to close our eyes anymore? The reading of the play was done before a small audience of family, friends, and Center Theater staff. Had the participants of the Center Theater project known how this reading would have turned out, because they were coming into this blind, just trusting, not knowing what the end product was going to be, they probably would have invited more people to see the reading. The biggest surprise for me was the discussion in the talkback. The Center Theater had their staff and several young Vista volunteers who were working at the theater for the summer in the audience. And I knew the play would have resonance with, the generation that was represented in the project, but the resonance that it had with younger generations was really just a learning experience for me. This project connected generations with its subject matter. So it was really a wonderful experience. And I just want to take a moment to read to you the last monologue of the play Impact, which was written by a participant by the name of Lynn. And she starts her monologue off with a quote from Hamlet. "What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god." Yeah, right. Once, as a child, I think I was in 5th grade, I asked my parents if I might go to church. We weren't a church-going family, but I was beginning to think deep thoughts and ask big questions. So I found myself sitting in Sunday school, and at one point the teacher, he asked if there were any questions. I raised my hand. If mankind is advancing gradually, if we are getting better, what happens to our concept of God? Do we become God? Talk about chutzpah. He didn't call on me after that. That was pretty much the end of my formal religious education. But as the oldest of 6 kids, I wondered about such things, like how many people could the earth feed, and whether there would be clean water to drink. Certainly at that time, one didn't drink the water from Maine's primary rivers. Hell, you couldn't swim in it, much less drink it. But in a few short years, the Congress had passed the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. Just imagine, Republicans and Democrats actually working together for the benefit of the people. And even more wondrous, we had landed on the moon. I remember that image. In grainy black and white, a puff of moon dust billows up as a boot comes down on a strange new world. And even more impactful was the photograph, the stunning color of the Earth in space, that brilliant blue orb suspended in the inky blackness, dancing in the dark. I remember seeing that photograph for the first time. My heart burst. My first love. Since then, we have tripled in population. The human population has tripled, more than tripled in my lifetime. Now the image in my head are the last seconds of the film Thelma and Louise. Car top down, wind through hair, hurtling toward the cliff's edge. Whee! We've talked about kindness here. I have nothing against kindness. Kindness is good, but is that the best we can hope for? That we get to hold someone's hand as we hurtle over the cliff. Whee! Certainly mankind, this species, this quintessence of dust is something more than an overwhelming parasite. But if not, then my fondest hope, my fervent prayer is that this pulsating blue orb, this living organism, this miracle can survive us. And that was the end of the play and the beginning of the talk back. So we ended the project after the reading. Participants were very, very excited about, what they had produced. There had been some plans of sharing the work in the community with other groups. I'm not sure if that happened. There were some participants who did want to lead that, but that was it. And I had hoped, and perhaps this is still yet to come, that this might be, these projects might be more of a regular event and not just, a quick few sessions with a group, because there is just so much potential, so much there in terms of experience and memories. And, to create art out of that is really an amazing thing to be part of. So there is a video clip that I think is in the materials So I hope you have a chance to take a look at it. And please let me know and contact me if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Jeri, for that presentation and that beautiful reading. Gives us a lot to think about in this beautiful imagery of thinking about the Earth from space. So next I'd like to introduce Angela Hunt. Angela is a distinguished healthcare leader with over 40 years of experience in elder care and currently serves as the Chief Innovation Officer at the Cedars in Portland, Maine. A pioneer in person-centered care, she's led transformative initiatives, including the Cedars Learning Community and award-winning Cedars Salon and Day Spa, an initiative intergenerational programs. Trained as a physical therapist with advanced education in anatomy and physiology, Hunt has held multiple senior leadership roles at the Cedars and serves as a numerous healthcare and aging advisory boards. Recognized with the Leading Age Excellence in Leadership Award, she's a respected voice in advancing geriatric care, workforce development, and quality of life for older adults. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. And I'm so very impressed with all the great programs I've been hearing. It's so exciting to see what's out there for older adults. So today, the primary objectives of my story is really to share with you how expressive art programming enhances healthcare outcomes to older adults who have multiple medical conditions, chronic medical conditions, and reside in long-term care communities, and how expressive art programs enhance the clinical outcomes of the organizations in which older adults live, and to share some of the examples of the type of programming we have at the Cedars. But first, before I start, I would like to take 30 seconds to introduce to you the Cedars so that you may have a reference point to my story. Next slide, please. The Cedars has been an essential organization embedded in the Portland community. We were established in 1929. We're a non-for-profit older adult living community that offers a full continuum of older adult living options. We also offer healthcare services. We have a 102-bed skilled nursing facility, and we also have community-based programs. And although we are a Jewish-based community, we welcome all denominations, and we serve approximately at least 1,000 older adults each year. Next slide, please. This slide sets the stage by showing you how common chronic conditions are in older adults, both nationally and here in Maine. So across the United States, 80% of adults that are age 65 and older have at least one chronic medical condition, and nearly 70% have 2 or more chronic conditions. And when I talk about chronic conditions, I mean conditions like hypertension, which is high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, depression. They're widespread and they often occur together. And Maine as a state is aging, as we just heard from multiple presenters, and we're aging 8% actually faster than the rest of the nation. And in Maine, the older adult population, mental and cognitive health concerns are especially significant. And I'm especially talking about depression, anxiety, and dementia, which are slightly higher in Maine than in other states. And these challenges are more pronounced in long-term care communities. The average age of the people that we serve at the Cedars are 86 or 87 years old. And by the time the average older adult comes to the Cedars for assisted living or long-term care services, they have an average of 6 to 12 chronic conditions, and they're on multiple medications. Like 5 to up to, I've seen people up to 22 medications for their conditions. And older adults in long-term care communities require extensive assist, sometimes physically, and they need support for their activities of daily living. So there is a real call to action for us to continue to think very thoughtfully about how we can support older adults with chronic conditions to live well, to engage in the greater community, and to have joy in their lives. And that's why the expressive arts, they just do that, and that's why they're so important. And I cannot underscore enough the importance of these programs and the many benefits they give older adults. Next slide, please. At the Cedars, we're big fans of expressive art programs, as you can tell. And we have programs like Time Slips, which is a storytelling program, music and memory. We have intergenerational theater program, and art viewing and art making program, which create all meaningful opportunities for older adults. For individuals living with chronic conditions, expressive arts can improve alertness, enhance their socialization, elevate mood. They do lots more. I'm not going to explain all the results because you've heard it from all the presenters. We're all in agreement with that. Music, art, and storytelling stimulate memory and cognition, while creative activities reduce isolation and anxiety, two factors that often worsen a chronic condition. And at the core of this work are the values you see on this slide, which is dignity, choice, and individuality. Expressive art programs promote these values rather than simply focus on the person's limitations. Expressive arts honor each person for who they are. They make choices in these programs, and they honor their individuality. And ultimately, these programs are just not creative, they're really therapeutic. They help transform care from something that's task-focused to something that's person-centered. And they support that emotional well-being and overall health for people with complex chronic medical conditions. Next slide, please. So this slide represents a scoping literature review that was conducted by the Cedars in the University of New England College of Osteopathic Medicine. The scoping literature review represents one of the most comprehensive looks at engagement strategies for people living with dementia. So dementia is a chronic condition, and this is just about dementia, this one slide. And drawing from over 1,200 articles that we looked at, and from a body of work of hundreds of key and supplemental studies, we consistently identified expressive arts as a core evidence-based approach to therapeutic engagement. In short, expressive art programs are not just optional add-ons for people living with dementia. They are well-researched, evidence-based interventions with clear therapeutic benefit and represent a best practice standard for emerging older persons in person-centered dementia care. In fact, we lower our antipsychotic rates through the use of these programs. And I can say this is true for many other chronic diseases. Next slide. So how do we really engage, next slide please. So how do we really engage older adults at the Cedars, and what are some of the expressive art programs that we do? So in this slide, there are 3 distinct programs. All of them are intergenerational. All of them are college-level courses with a student curriculum. The students are offered credits. They have to come to the Cedars and work with our elder teachers to get these credits. And we conduct these programs in partnership with the University of New England, University of Southern Maine, and Bates College. And students in these programs are partnered with a resident that lives at the Cedars, and we call that resident an elder teacher. The first program I want to just talk about is HIS 410. It's the one that's partnering with Elders Health and Creativity. And it is an award-winning, evidence-based, intergenerational, abstract art-making program for people with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And it is the basic part of the program is called Opening Minds Through Art. It's OMA. And it was developed, the OMA program was developed by Scripps Gerontology at University of Miami in Ohio. And OMA promotes social engagement, autonomy, and dignity through the experience of self-expression. And this program provides diversity, equity, and inclusion to a population with unique needs in a non-stigmatizing setting. It aims to really uncover and promote existing skills and competencies that people with dementia have to improve their emotional and well-being. And students are educated about dementia. They learn about communication techniques. They learn about how the environment impacts people living with dementia, and they learn how to apply a specific methodology that results in the creation of a beautiful abstract piece of art. And I know you can't see it, but behind me I put 2 pictures up so that you could kind of get a look of their artwork. The program is, the students work with an elder teacher for 10 weeks, so they really get to know them. They get to know their life story. We give them life stories of the residents. And each session is 90 minutes long. and the art sessions are done in a group situation. They're overseen by a dementia care specialist that's certified in the program, alongside with a professional community artist. And in our case, and I think a lot of you might know her, Pamela Moulton is our professional community artist. Professional art supplies and materials are utilized in this program, and the program culminates in an exhibition and a celebration of the artist artwork. The artwork is framed professionally and has been shared in the Portland Art Walk a couple times, exhibited at the University of New England Art Gallery, University of Southern Maine Art Galleries, and this program is an incredibly popular program for our residents. They love it. So the second program, so you might all be familiar with this quote: "Inside of us is a natural-born storyteller just waiting to be released." And this powerful quote by Robin Moore perfectly encapsulates the essence of our second program, HON 311, Story as Medicine. This is a narrative medicine program. This honors level college course partners students with elder teachers to unearth and share stories of health and wellness through the exploration of storytelling elements, creative personal elements, in making of these life maps that they make. The course offers significant benefits not only to the students, but really to the elder teachers. Elder teachers experience a renewed sense of purpose and connection as their narratives and their life maps become value contributions to the learning process of that student. Also, their stories and life maps enhance their emotional well-being, because telling your story is very therapeutic and healing. And to enhance this creative endeavor, the students and the elder teacher visit the OSHA Map Library, which is in Portland, where they discover photographs and historical maps that connect their lives, the lives of their elder teachers. And they're armed with this newfound knowledge and research. The students and the elder teachers go back together and they create their own map. The elder teacher creates a map of their life. The semester-long class ends with a heartfelt celebration, and an anthology book is developed. And this book has all their stories in it and their maps in it, and each student and elder teacher gets a copy of this book. And students and elder teacher read their stories and share their maps with a diverse audience. The stories and the maps resonate deeply, touching on profound themes such as the Great Depression, World War II, loss of loved ones, complexities of contemporary life, and about their health history. So this program has been going on for like 7 years, and this is another very popular program with us. And the last program is done in partnership with Bates College Department of Music. It's called Student Musician in Residency Internship Program, supporting older adults with chronic medical conditions to engage, inspire, and heal. And students are provided with a foundational curriculum, which is taught by Cedar staff, and the curriculum focuses on how to really optimally engage older adults, the therapeutic benefits of music for older adults with chronic medical conditions. And we work on skills development of like communication skills. We look at session etiquette. We talk about setting up the environment for successful participation for older adults with the music program. And the curriculum is supplemented by research articles and highlighting some of the best practices for musical engagement. So students are paired with the same residents throughout the semester. They learn about their likes and their preferences when it comes to music. And the students explore, they develop engaging musical programs. The interns share their passion for music while providing older adults with the opportunity to participate, making choices in their music, expressing their music artistic capabilities through educational classes. They might do a presentation on a famous composer. They might do creative composition with older adults. They might even do art-making activities paired with the music. And some of the students do interactive performances such as singing and playing musical instruments. And residents also are encouraged to use percussion instruments and art-making material throughout the program. Next slide, please. So this is just a picture of our OMA program. We were showcased at the Maine Capitol in Augusta, so this was the day. And actually, we did this with the Maine Arts Commission. Next slide. This is a picture of the celebration event with the Story as Medicine program, and you can see the maps that are on the picture on the left on the lower picture. So both the OMA program, the curriculum with the students, and also the Story as Medicine program, both have won national awards through the Jewish Aging Services. So we have presented that. And the next slide, please. So lastly, I just want to quickly talk about one other program. This is a unique collaboration between the Cedars Figures of Speech Theater and the Falmouth High School. And we had 25 students from the high school, 20 were in theater, and 5 were in music. And so we used the storytelling, and it's called Time Slips. It's by Ann Bastings. It's actually an evidence-based program for people living with dementia. So people see a picture, and there's a person that facilitates developing a story. So there's never a right or wrong answer. So we did 15 stories. The students would come to the Cedars, be with the residents. We had 5 students at a time. We did this throughout the whole semester. We had a total of 15 stories. And then the students took 3 stories and made them come to life with that shadow puppetry you see. They learned about shadow puppy, they made the puppets, and then they invited the residents to come to the high school, have lunch with them, and then we had all these shadow boards up, and the residents played with the puppets and learned about the puppetry. And then we had a Saturday where the students, their families, the residents and their families came, and we had them present the three theater productions. And the students made original music for each of the theater productions. So that was a long semester. That was an incredibly great program. So those are a few of the programs. So I want to tell you that all the work that you do with art is so important, and it's so important with older adults. And it's really important with older adults that don't have good mobility, that can't get out into the community. So that's why these are so important, these programs for everybody. So thanks for listening to my story.
Thank you, Angie. Thanks for all the work you're doing. Thank you to all of our presenters for being here. Thank you to all the participants who are here. We do have a few minutes, so we'll open the floor for any questions that anyone has or comments they'd like to share. Go ahead and raise your hand or just pop right on camera. I did see a question in the chat. Julie Kline asked, she loves the term elder teachers and is wondering, would love to understand more about that role. Angie, do you want to talk about that term?
Sure. The older adults, this is such a great opportunity for them to give back to the community, because when you're in long-term care, basically there's a lot done for you. I mean, the staff is always giving to the resident because they have to help them with so many things. So an elder teacher, these opportunities of working with the college students allows the older adult to give back to the community. So it actually gives them purpose. And so we were thinking of a title that deserves, instead of calling them residents with the students, we call them their elder teachers.
Great. And Maureen, I see your hand up.
Yeah, hi, Maureen Booth. I'm from Maine Healthcare Association. I had a question for Meriah Hope, specifically around what the parameters are for folks to become a teaching artist, if there's qualifications that folks need for that, and if there's costs associated with that. We work a lot with activity directors within communities, long-term care communities around the state. So, I think of them particularly, if there's an opening or a pathway for them to become these teaching artists within their own communities. So I'm just curious if that is something that can be done.
Meriah, do you want to take that question? We also have others that I know Martha or even Julie could answer those questions as well.
Is Meriah here? I'm not sure she's still here.
Yeah.
We can certainly get you more information about trainings, and yes, we definitely want to make trainings available to activity directors at facilities. I work for the Maine Arts Commission as well and work on organizing trainings for teaching artists and we've had a entry level teaching artist training with Side by Side, and Megan Scribner is here, who delivered that, and that was fabulous last year, and we hope to do that again, sort of the 101 ABCs of teaching artistry, and then adding the other layers that we're seeing here on top of that for folks who aren't already teaching artists. So there's lots of ways to enter into this pathway, and we'll keep you informed, Maureen.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I see the connections, and it is a strong connection. So I'm really excited to hear more about that program.
We do anticipate that we will have a creative aging training cohort coming up with Julie's Lifetime Arts. So definitely sign up for the information, and we'll get that to you for your activity directors. We are a little over time. Ariana, did I say that right? You're welcome to ask your question, and those that need to leave are also welcome to leave, but go ahead and ask your question.
I'm a teaching artist at Bartlett Woods here in Rockland, and I'm pretty new to it. And I'm wondering about, is there any network or discipline specific cohorts? I'm new to teaching this age population, and I've done the Lifetime Arts training, but I'm finding as I'm in the classroom, having taught in a high school setting, I would love some kind of format for exchanging experiences. I'm a visual artist, so with people doing drawing classes or painting classes or whatever, just the experiences that they've had and the successes they've had and the kinds of projects they've had, just sort of a more discipline focused way of exchanging ideas and experiences amongst teaching artists. That could be a question for anybody, but
I will just I can.
Oh, go ahead, Julie.
Just Ariana, that's great, and I'm so glad you did the Lifetime Arts training. We actually also, after you've gone through our foundations training, you can join a networking group called the Creative Aging Collaborative.
Yes.
And that actually is where a lot of like discipline-specific conversations happen or demo classes happen. We also do curriculum coaching specifically for teaching artists. Typically, we've done that kind of inside of like a larger initiative, but we're starting to move to a place where we can do that kind of one-off. So I'll drop my email in the chat. We should definitely talk, because that is so important, is to be with other visual artists and everybody can exchange kind of what's worked for you and what's, especially in terms of that social connection piece, right, of the work.
That would be great. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, and hearing that in April, we are going to have a convening in person. And so we could have a breakout session based on discipline or just on that topic alone, so people can have these kinds of conversations. So thank you so much for asking that question and that feedback. Are there any other questions? I don't see any hands up. I just would like to remind people that you can register for February 20th roundtable, which will be youth and mental health, and March 20th, which will be community arts and public health. So I am going to go ahead and release you today. Thank you so much for joining us and bearing with our technical difficulties. I think we pulled it off. So take care, everyone, and go hug someone you love today. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Anyone who wants to stay on to process the call can stay on.